Well, thank you everybody for coming. I'd like to call this Battleground School Board meeting to order and ask Ms. Sanders if she would please place.
So please begin. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yes, Lydia, you did answer some questions about who you are and what you do. So tell us about yourself.
So I'm Lydia Sanders. I've worked for the district for about 12 years. I've owned a 18-acre certified organic farm up in View for the last 20 years. I have a 17-year-old son, and I keep myself pretty busy.
And tell us what you do for the district.
Oh, yeah, that.
So where are our kids?
So we oversee the Family Resource Center, the homeless program, and the foster care education program for all students in the district this year. So I have myself and 2 other folks who help us do that. And we've been able to really reach any and all students in the district with helping them with their basic needs this year. So that's been pretty exciting.
Any other questions for Ms. Sanders?
No, good job without making me cry.
She'll be present.
Thank you, Lydia.
Thanks.
And by the way, thanks for all you do for all of our kids.
So the next item on the agenda is our roll call.
President and Director of District 1, Monty Anderson.
Here.
Vice President and Director of District 4, Mavis Nichols.
Here.
Director of District 2, Ken Root.
Present?
Director of District 3, Jim Peguero.
Present.
Director of District 5, Stephanie McClintock.
Present.
Mr. President, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Ms. Huron. The next item on our agenda is our agenda approval.
I'll make a motion for the agenda approval.
So there's a motion on the floor to approve the agenda. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. So then our next item on our agenda is we'll ask Mr. Merlino, our superintendent of ESD 112, to present.
You bet. Thanks. My name's Tim Merlino, and I'm the superintendent of ESD 112. And first off, thanks for inviting me here tonight to recognize 2 schools in Battleground School District who were Washington Achievement Award winners. And it's, like I said, an honor for me to be here. But I do want to say first that I want to wish Mark and Julie to have great retirements. And they've both been, I used to work with Julie at the ESD, and I've worked with Mark for a long time. So we're going to miss you guys, but happy, healthy times for both of you. So the Washington Achievement Awards are given by OSPI as a way to recognize those schools that are among the top in the state in terms of improving student achievement over 3 consecutive years. And by recognizing our most successful schools, I guess I'm way too close here, the Achievement Awards highlight the best practices that are making that success possible. And hopefully we can repeat those in other schools. CAM Academy is recognized in the category of overall excellence and high progress, and Pleasant Valley Primary School is recognized for growth in math. Both of these schools are repeat winners of this award. In our region, we only had 11 award winners, so Battleground had 2 of them. Hi, Sandy. First, could I have Principal Ryan Cole and any staff from CAM come up and join me? Mr. Cole is continuing the tradition of excellence at CAM Academy, and the school has been recognized as a Washington School Achievement 7 of the last 8 years. So that's in the whole lifetime of the award. And the only reason they didn't get it last year was because they didn't have the 95% of the kids taking the test. So it's a very impressive accomplishment. No, I'd like to ask Mr. Cole to share some of the special things about his school, his staff, and students that made CAM so successful.
Thank you, Tim. I was going to say, I was thinking about this a little bit before coming over here, and there's really not a magic formula for, I think, for success. I think a lot of it comes down to some of the representation that are here today. It's our staff and our parents, our teachers. Everyone sets high expectations for students. I think that's number one. There's strong relationships between staff and students. And parents feel there's a strong connection with the staff as well, and there's a strong partnership there. Teachers focus on the individual needs of the student, so if students are struggling or having some difficulty, they provide opportunities and time after school to help the students succeed so they can get up to the level. And of course at CAM Academy we're an ELE school. So we have, each month they have written student learning plans, and we need students to be making progress on their monthly evaluations. We focus a lot on the character traits each month, so oftentimes there's a focus for the month, and that focus for each month is communicated with our families, which then reinforce those expectations with the students at home. So it's that parent, staff, student working all together to make that go forward. So in summary, I was going to say that without all of these individuals up here and our great parent support, CAM wouldn't be what it is today. And I appreciate it, and thanks for the opportunity for us to be able to be here.
So Ryan, thanks for your leadership in this area. Grab that banner, and we'll just unroll it, and you set up to take pictures over there? Okay. And also, here's your award.
Switch together. We're back on. Okay. There we go. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Take the double here. Thank you.
Seven of 8 is tough to top. That's awesome, you guys. So on behalf of ESD 112 and OSPI, we want to recognize your hard work and dedication to the students at the CAM Academy. So next up, I'm going to have Pleasant Valley Primary School Principal Mike Schaub, Assistant Principal Diane Castle, and any Pleasant Valley staff come on up.
It's just the two of us.
Okay, that sounds great.
The rest of the staff is home hardworking in preparation for tomorrow.
Well, I've gotten to know Mike a little bit. This is the third award that he's gotten. He got the last two at Captain Strong, and I don't. Well, he told me that he's not really responsible for this award. It's people before him, but maybe the word just follows you. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it works out that way. My own daughter went to Pleasant Valley, and tonight she's graduating from 8th grade, and so I'm very proud of our neighborhood school, and I'm really happy that you guys won this award. And I'm going to have Mike make some remarks about PDP.
I can actually, I think I have a loud enough voice to do that. So I'm not as well versed as Ryan is back here, so I'm going to kind of read verbatim from some of the notes that I had prepared for today. And so I feel like, I wish that Ron Hutchinson was here. He was the principal last year, and so I think we can credit him for a little bit of the work and the recognition today. And also Diane Castle, the assistant principal, who's been here for the last 3 years. So on behalf of the Pleasant Valley community, we will accept the award tonight. We find that Pleasant Valley is a welcoming community where the student, staff, and families care about academics, but they care equally about turning students into good, productive citizens. I would like to praise the entire school community, from the teachers to support staff and students and parents, because you don't get results without the entire community contributing to those results. I'd also like to point out the Math Intervention Program that has done a great amount of work in supporting students that are a little bit below benchmark in math to reach those levels of proficiency. I've Donna Walker has done an outstanding job in the last couple of years of supporting students. The work that's done at PVP in this year and in years previous has been very student-centered, that the curriculum is aligned with the Common Core state standards. It's something that the teachers have very much engaged in this year and in previous years. We regularly review student academic data in order to make personalized instruction decisions to help students. I think it's important also to mention the social and emotional development of students, because we know that if our classrooms aren't conducive for learning, then our students don't achieve at these high levels. I also think it's important to mention the staff and their resiliency to keep some of the great traditions of Pleasant Valley alive as well.
Let's go ahead and, oh, you got it right there. So let's,
It's a good thing there's two of you.
Do you want to come up here as a Pleasant Valley parent?
Parent. Oh, well, you didn't know. Any other?
Anybody else?
Anybody else want to come up? This is Claire. That's for you. There you go. Thank you.
so congratulations. Thanks for having me too. My wife is saving 8 seats at the concert tonight, so I got to go help her out. Thanks, you guys.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Delino, for taking time out of your day to come and present these awards on behalf of our staff and students. So the next item on our agenda is our ASB report. So that's what I'm going to present first.
How's everyone?
Very well. And how about you?
Pretty good. It's kind of rainy, but okay.
This wasn't raining on the keynote.
It's true. So, this is Emma Boucher. She's going to be the Battleground High School school rep for next year. So you guys will be seeing a lot more of her. So you want to say a couple things?
I'm excited to be here and just excited to get to know what's going on and get more involved.
So, at ASB, things are winding down as they have been for the past few months. On Sunday, we had our spring spruce up and to get the high school ready for graduation and looking pretty. And that was really nice. It helped ASB bond a little bit more. And it's just always a great experience. It's a lot of work, but it's fun. Also, today we had our senior send-off because this was the last day that seniors are going to be in ASB. So there was some tears. We're really going to miss all of our seniors. They do a lot of really good work in ASB. So that was today. Now we're just winding down for the rest of the year, getting ready for next year. We already had all of our elections, and we're going to need to get 8th graders recruited to be freshman representatives for next year. And that is about all we're doing. Anybody have any questions?
Emma, have you checked your shoe size to see if you can fill the big shoes?
I'm afraid I won't be. She's so great. I think she has bigger shoes than I do.
You'll do just fine, and we're excited to have you. So, is there any other questions?
Just thank you for being so loyal and coming and giving us such great reports for Battleground High School.
Well, I'd really like to thank you guys for having me. It's been a pleasure being here and representing Battleground High School. So.
Great job, great job.
And I know Emma will do great next year.
Emma, you will do.
We can be a little bit hard at times. You'll get them.
And you're always welcome to come back and visit us anytime.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Not bad. I didn't know if you were going to just visit us or if you were going to have a
No,
report.
I was at tutoring, and so I kind of had to, yeah.
We need all the help we can get here.
Yeah, me too. So like Battlegrounds, ASB at Prairie has been winding down as well. We actually have one last event. It's senior brunch for the seniors, just to have one last kind of go around and hang out, sign new books. That's at WSC Vancouver on the day of graduation. So next year, Misa Lee and Zoe Haas, they couldn't make it tonight, but Misa is the new president. She's going to be elected as the president at Prairie High School. And Zoe Haas is the new vice president, and so they're really excited. about next year and about all the things that that brings. And so yeah, do you have any questions?
Did I see you Saturday at a rather special event? Were you at the
The awards?
Costco?
Would you like to report on that event for us real quick? What your award was?
Yeah, that event was really cool. I've never been there before, but is it all of Clark County?
All of Clark County.
All of Clark County. So people are nominated and selected for different awards. They vary from, let's see, students who really care about the environment and students who stand up for people with color or different things like that. Really good integrity. And I was nominated for a leadership award, and I got accepted for that, so that was really exciting.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It was really cool. So yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Thank you so much for.
Did you have a question?
I have a comment for if you guys want to learn more about Miss Arnold. She was our student who was featured in this year's Columbian profiles of their high school graduates.
You were singing.
It was. Yeah.
That's great.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much for the opportunities you give students and everything you do for the district. We really appreciate it.
Come back anytime.
Thank you for what you've done.
Where are you headed to next?
I'm actually going to Clark College in the fall.
You know anybody there?
I know a lot of people there. Yeah. It's like I'm not leaving high school.
Does your dad work there?
He does.
Is that right?
Yeah.
They want to know, they got that wrong.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I didn't see any other ASB reps here, but if I missed one, now's your opportunity. So we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is our very fun financial report.
That's almost meaning to make financial reports follow those great kids.
No. Financial reports are like up to the
Wow.
Well, I'll do my best to be as effective as possible. So I just wanted to talk to you about one of the items on the consent agenda is the finance reports, and wanted to speak to that a little bit tonight. And our enrollment numbers are still down from what we projected. It's probably going to continue that way as June's enrollment discount day was just finished. However, our revenues are still up in comparison to our expenditures, so it doesn't seem to be impacting us. We basically weather the storm for the rest of the year. Our fund balance in general fund, if you notice, is about 21 million right now, but the caveat to that is we just received our levy funds in April of 11 million. And our next levy collection will not be until October, so essentially we'll be utilizing that fund balance until our next levy payment. Another thing that happens is apportionment is paid every month. However, the percentage of that, pool of money is not split evenly. You would think it'd be 8.33% of the 12 months, but next month, for May, they're only going to give us 5.5% of our allocation, so they basically cut it in half, because in April we received 9%, and they'll do the same in June. It'll be at 6%, in July the same thing, July will go back up to 10%. So they take into consideration that most school districts get their levy payments in April, and then they cut back apportionment for about 3 or 4 months after that. So I just wanted to disclose that, since it looks a little higher than our average fund balance is. Capital projects, our revenue for the year was projected at 3.7 million. And I can tell you, as of May's collections came in, we've exceeded that 3.7 million in budgeted revenue. So I'm looking at our expenditure budget and considering the projects we have going on this summer, it possibly might need to do a budget extension. So I just wanted to keep you in the loop that is something that I am looking into. And if that is the case, I'll make sure that gets done as soon as possible. And ASB and debt seem to be right on line. Another item I want to talk to you about is in regards to our levy equalization payments that we get. That is for districts that don't have basically a high tax base. And we get about 7 million, I think this year is what we were projected to get. Well, because the legislature has not, the budget hasn't been finalized, they are reducing our levy equalization payments for the next 2 months by $257,000. So that's another thing that we will be utilizing our fund balance to cover expenses. So hopefully if the budget is passed, we will get recouped for that funding in July, but we'll have to wait and see. And that brings me to the next topic, is that the legislature has not yet decided on a budget. So we will have a budget no matter what by August 31st, as is required by law. But we are in a position as a district that once a budget is approved by the governor, that we can take what the allocations are and get the budget going in July, so that we can start to have the budget hearings in August. I feel we're in a pretty good position with all our department budgets and everything, that when that does happen, we'll be ready to act.
So on that levy equalization, was that total for each month, or was that just?
That's a total for both months, for May and June. It's $257,000. And I looked at the other districts, and some districts it's a hit of about 500,000, others it's about 100,000, just depends, but we seem to be right in the middle. We have a policy revision coming up later on, so I guess I'll be seeing you again. Any questions?
No, thank you.
All right. Was that fun and uplifting?
Yeah, absolutely. Other than we were shorted.
But we'll get it in July.
The next item was our operations report, and there was nothing to report on that. So we'll move on to the teaching and learning update from Mr. Ross.
I thought for our teaching and learning report, I would turn it over to Lydia Sanders. As we know, the Parent Resource Center was kind of Mr. Hottaway's brainchild at the beginning of the year, and I wanted to update everybody, or have Lydia update us on kind of the great progress this year.
Yeah. Very excited. So there's a nifty little flyer there that shows really some amazing numbers of all of the students and families that we've been able to serve this year through lots of different programs. One of the newest things we're doing that we've started is called the Friday Resource Review. Did I get enough? Do you need one more, Monty? No. You got it?
Good job on your count.
I actually do those. Anyway, Friday Resource Review is something that we have just started. I'm really excited about it. And it's where we invite local resources and organizations out to train our staff on Friday afternoons. We just had the YWCA out, and it really helps when you're working in this field to put eyes to eyes and know the people that you're working with, so that we can do a lot of those soft handoffs to a lot of different services that folks need. But you can see from looking at these numbers, we've had a total of 941 visits to the Family Resource Center just since we opened in October. We've had a total of almost 6,000 phone calls that we've managed, and helping families with, you name it, lots and lots and lots of different things. So one thing that we've been able to do that I'm kind of proud of is that we have been able to take some of the services that we were providing to homeless students. As you know, I've been the homeless liaison for about 10 years, and so we were able to take some of those things and expand them out to the district, to any student in the district. So we can help any student right now with clothes, shoes, coats, backpacks, school supplies, any of those things, confidentially delivered to their school for that student within 2 or 3 days. And it doesn't cost the district a dime. It's all donated. And we have that system in place with Linda Storm, who basically is she can do things on a computer that I didn't even know was possible, and she's able to get those systems out. And then Martha Belkoff is identifying families, identifying needs all day long. I tease her that she sits and talks on the phone and eats bonbons, but I can assure you she does not eat bonbons, but she is talking on the phone an awful lot, and it's because she cares about our kids and our families so much. So I'm extremely grateful for both of those folks. But I'm also extremely grateful for the support that all of you have given me, especially Mr. Holloway. Without him giving a blessing to make this happen, I don't think that it would have. And so I just want you to know that it really meant a lot to me personally that you trusted me to be able to expand what we were doing. And without the support of my boss, Jill Smith, I wouldn't be able to do a lot of the stuff that we do. We really do things differently in Battleground when it comes to families in need. And I really appreciate the freedom that you guys have given me to be able to develop things that actually work. This is the 3rd year in a row. Don't cut our hours when I tell you this. But this is the 3rd year in a row that we actually have fewer homeless students than we did the previous year. And so that is because we're able to do things like Life 101, which is something that we're developing to help families leave poverty, leave homelessness behind, and working with a lot of resources that help them do that. So we're still to keep it short, so I guess I better stop talking. Any questions?
What's Stress Hack?
Stress Hack, so that's pretty exciting. That actually was a true story, family that came into our office, and a lot of our families are what I call spinning. They're going in circles. How am I going to feed my babies? Where are we going to sleep tonight, right? And so they're literally so stressed out that they can't think and they can't move on to the next goal. So it's real easy for folks to say, well, just get a job, just get an apartment, but it truly is a lot more complicated than that. So what we do is a lot of really active listening. And with that particular family, what I heard from her is that she was up all night worrying about feeding her babies and where they're going to sleep. So all I did was give her one simple suggestion, and she followed it, and it changed her life. And all that was here's a notepad and a pen. Write stuff down when you're up at night and you can't think and you can't sleep. And then in the morning, all you have to think about is doing that one thing, which is to look at that list and start plugging away at all of those goals. And then you're not going to be up all night worrying about them. That was before Christmas that I gave her that advice. And right before spring break, she came into our office with tears in her eyes and said, Lydia, since you told me that, I got a job, I got a car, we're moving to Longview, we got our own home. So it truly is Life 101. It's getting back to those basics and really listening to what those families really need.
Awesome.
Any other questions?
You're still going to make me cry.
Well, I've been known to do that just a couple of times.
This is amazing.
I'm excited. And I'm grateful for the freedom that y'all have given me. It really has made the difference.
Great work.
Thanks.
Mark, do you have anything to say with respect to your feelings on it?
Well, I don't want to cry, so I'm not going to say a lot. I felt when I came here that we had some makeup to do in terms of catching up to a point where I thought we could take care of those kiddos and families that were in need, and I felt like we were behind the 8 ball a bit, and it always comes down to money. Everything's about money. So it's not truly all my credited dream that resulted in us getting where we are. And by the way, we have a long ways to go. I don't want us to think that we've plateaued. This is just the first big step. But part of the reason that we were able to take the big step was that a couple years ago, Mary Beth and I were having a conversation about KCC. And that conversation resulted in us asking the folks that were renting the space to leave, which was not easy to do because we were trying to be a community partner. But we needed the space for some various reasons, and one of my dreams was to give Lydia a big space to grow into. So part of the reason she's there is Mary Beth. The other thing that happened was the grant that came along a year ago, and I didn't have anything to do with that. I just endorsed it. It's Lydia and the folks that she works with that deserve the credit for the dream. They just count on people like us to support them and encourage them and try to clear hurdles. That's all. That's what we do. And she's free to do the work that's critical to help the kids in our community. And I appreciate it so much. You do really phenomenal work.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Anything else? Now we'll move on to our communications report. Ms. Sanders.
Good evening, how are you? Cold. Cold, yes, it's chilly in here. So I have a few updates I'd like to share. So currently we are doing a thought exchange survey, and we started that the end of last month with the share step, where people answer 4 questions about the district, and they provide feedback on what their concerns are, what questions they have, what they appreciate about the district, and what educational opportunities they would like made available to students. And we had 942 people participate in that step, and they offered nearly 4,500 thoughts. And that step closed, and currently we're in the STAR step, which is where you go in and you review other people's thoughts, and you can prioritize them by giving them a certain number of stars. And what comes out of this step is a consensus of the shared values of our community. And so we will get those results this summer, and then we will share them till the discovery step in the fall. So we're currently in the STAR step, so you can go online and to our webpage if you didn't, our homepage if you didn't get the email, and sign up to take it, because you didn't have to participate in the share step to participate in the STAR step. You can jump in at any point. The communications team also attended the Washington School Public Relations Association annual conference, and when we were there we won some awards. So we got 7 awards from that, and it's really an honor to be recognized by this organization, because essentially the judges are our communications, our fellow communications professionals. So they judge our work, so that was a lot of fun. So we received 2 honorable mentions, one for photography and one for video. And then we received 3 merit awards, one for photography and one for our electronic newsletter called the BGPS Bulletin that goes out to people in the community. They can opt in to receive it. And then we also received a merit award for our annual report from last year, so that was this one. And then also, we also won an award of excellence, and it was also judged the best in category for finance publication for our levy mailer. So I was really excited about that. And then the last thing I wanted to share with you is some information about our website. So I was looking at the Google Analytics for our website, and I examined, looked at it by user sessions, or how many times the website is visited. And I wanted to compare how many sessions the district website had last school year from September 1st to the end of May versus this school year for the same time period. And I learned that our sessions have increased by about 16% over last year, from roughly 519,000 last year to 602,000 this year. So it's getting more visits. And then for the same time period, I also wanted to look at what devices people are using to access the website. It could be a desktop computer, a smartphone, or a tablet. And most visits do occur from a desktop computer. However, the number of visits from a desktop computer declined from last year to this year. So while our total number of visits increased, desktop computer visits declined by 45,000 sessions. And in the same time period, the number of people accessing our website from a smartphone more than doubled from 111,000 sessions last year to 242,000 sessions this year. And the interesting thing about that is, as you know, if you visit our website from a smartphone, is that it looks exactly the same on a smartphone as it does on a desktop computer, which makes it difficult to navigate, very challenging. Our website is not mobile friendly. There's also a couple other things happening that affect our website. And the first is that there are new accessibility guidelines under the Americans with Disabilities Act that go into effect in early 2018. And we have, there's things on our website, it's got a lot of custom code that don't meet those requirements. And the other thing that's happening is our current platform is called Classic Google Sites. And the reason why it's called Classic is because there's a new version. And the support for the older version is going to eventually go away. And so people will be forced to migrate to the new version. And the thing about our website is we did, when it was built, it had a lot of, again, that custom code. And so we can't just migrate to the new platform. So I am in the process right now of looking into having our website rebuilt, essentially redesigned on a platform. So one that would be not proprietary, preferably one that's maybe open source, lots of developers out there so we could get help with it if we need it. So that's what I'm looking into right now. And it's not just our district, it's our district and all our school websites, as well as 2 programs. Casey has a website, and Community Education has a website. And they're all built into ours, essentially. So I'm looking into that. And that's all I have. And I'm going to hand it over to Linda in a moment, unless you guys have some questions for me.
On the number of hits that have hit the site, can you break that out by how many were in school or in district hits versus outside of the by IP addresses? Or?
Oh, you mean, so how many people came from people who lived here locally?
No, how many people were in the school when they were on the site? Employees.
Oh, I see. I didn't look at that. I don't know that I can look at that. Do you think I could look at it that way? How many people access the website from
in the district?
In the district, like employees?
It might.
Okay.
Yeah, let me look.
So Scott might be able to get that. I can tell you that the pages they go to the most, so they go to, of course, the home page, they start there, but then they'll go to the school calendars page. They visit the emergency information page, especially this year with all of the snow closures we had. They visit our jobs page, and they go to our news blog. And they also go to they click on the staff portal. That is also a large one, which means there's probably staff accessing the information in the portal. Bus routes is another one. Those are the main ones.
Skyward on there?
It doesn't show me how many click on Skyward.
How about board docs?
And I have where they go to internally, but I can't see if they go to a site that's not ours, like they leave our site, I don't know where they go. So if they clicked on Skyward, I wouldn't know how many did versus how many went to board docs. But I can tell you what page they go to if it's one of our pages.
That was the only question I had. Any other questions?
Do you have any idea how many have seen the FIT plan or the strategic plan for the district?
I potentially could go look that up. I don't have that detailed information right here.
Okay, have that marked.
If there's the one that's so important, it would be that one.
To me, I'd like to see us feature that one somehow, to draw people to it.
Maybe we can advertise it if it hasn't been.
Those pages have been on our homepage because, you know, we change up the information that's on our homepage. So occasionally the strategic plan has been up there and the FIT page has been linked to from the homepage. So
you think it'd be pretty high to count.
especially even during when we had the bond on there, I know we linked to both the strategic plan and the FIT plan from the homepage, so people could get more information, find it easier.
I noticed on the thought exchange that there were some comments about the district should have a long-range plan. Obviously, that was someone that didn't know we had a long-range plan.
Right.
So that kind of spurred the question.
All right, thank you. And then Linda is going to share.
Talk about retirees. So we tried something a little different this year. We decided that we don't have as many retirees come to the board meeting as we would like to in terms of recognition. And so we decided that we would recognize those folks in their buildings at staff meetings and in some cases, I think, retirement celebrations too. So we have 43 retirees at this point, and thought I'd just go through the list real quick. We have 2 people that have served more than 35 years in the district in Battleground Public Schools, Terry Kink and Gary Erickson. Serving 30 to 34 years, Marion Beatty and Diane Lewis Lund, Steve Beecroft, Mary Morgan. This was her classroom. We're sitting in Mary's room. Lori Thurman, Lori Amish, Pat Zarchek, and Diane Brown. 25 to 29 years is Teresa Ryan, Jim Brothers, Donna Watron, Carla Kalin, Paul White, Deb Langevin, and Diane Mason. Serving 20 to 24 years is Terry Smikowski, Emily Meek, Dave Richardson, Evan Irwin. That leaves a big hole there, Pleasant Valley. Rob Winston and Larry Delmarter. 15 to 19 years is Nancy Bone, Bobby Passant, Chuck Croson, Cheryl Fries, Nadine Nakagawa, Lori Walker, Susan Lee, and Ronald Jensen. 10 to 14 years is Georgie O'Donnell, Brenda Richardson, Doris Swart, Jan Bird, Bill Penrose, our own Julie Backus, and Barb Mahara. Serving 1 to 9 years in our district, Ginger Reyes, Irma Ederle, Patty Trotter, Jana Hart, and Mr. Mark Holloway. And so those are the folks that are going to go off and do something fun. We thank you for your years of service in Battleground.
And I think on behalf of the board, I would also thank all those that have served in the district at whatever capacity it was for the years that they had. It's nice when we can say that we are family and we care about individuals and the students. Unless somebody else has more. And our next item on our agenda is our committee reports. And under our committee reports, we have the Lynch Committee.
I have no new updates. Are you aware of anything new for WASA? Still waiting.
Still waiting. I had a meeting with Ann Rivers, and she assures me that we're going to be in very good shape.
Don't hold your breath.
I'm still breathing.
So the next committee would be our audit committee. Is there an update on that?
We did have an audit committee meeting and went through, as usual, quite a number of items, including the superintendent's report, the board report, and many, many others. We found no discrepancies whatsoever. We asked a lot of questions, and we're still learning.
You pulled up some pretty odd names, odd things too, so I noticed. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, well, we kind of look for odd names.
Yeah, you found them.
Megan's been great about helping us understand how some of these break out in different ways. But if you look at Clark Public Utilities, why is it in so many different places and all of that kind of thing? It's complicated.
So our next committee is the FIT committee. Is there any update?
No, as far as I know, we do not have anything scheduled. I don't know, Julie, have you heard of anything? No.
So then the next committee is our Human Resource Committee, and we have begun negotiations. There was a couple negotiation meetings. First one was on 5/25, and then the second one was 6/3. There were some ideas that were passed back and forth between the two negotiating parties on what they would like. The meeting that was on 6/3 was for about half an hour, like 5 hours or so. The next meeting is scheduled August 1st. No, the next one is June 14th. And there are no meetings scheduled in July. There was a request from the district to schedule some meetings in July, and VGA was not available for July. So then the following week will be August 1st. Any questions? So then our next meeting, committee is our Battleground Education Foundation.
So that's my committee, and we're reviewing the 5-year plan that the LCC has presented to us to see if we want to follow the plan that they're offering us. The last of the checks to the schools are going to be out this week. There was, I think it was $15,000 that was divvied out to all the schools, depending on what their attendance was for that school. The next thing was the school advisory committee that Mark and I went to. I think one of the action items were to, there was an issue about permitting within the schools, whether they could, the city council could help us with those issues. And there were determined 5 areas of focus for this committee, and that was the permitting process being number 1, youth coping skills was number 2, countrywide school emergency planning prep, just a better plan for all the schools if something major did happen, how we could help each other, most importantly, right? I mean, was that your take? And then supporting school or student access, and talent pipeline to align for future employment demand. CTE is going to be huge in this area for us, and we vocalized our efforts in the CTE program along with Evergreen and Vancouver and surrounding other districts too. Then I have also, since I have the floor of the WASA nominating committee, the names were submitted and they were released today. So we're going to be reviewing those names, going through the resumes, I guess you might call them, on Thursday, and then the meeting to actually physically meet the candidates. I'm going to be unfortunately for business, I'm going to be out of town on the 29th. But that's kind of what's going on with the WASA nominations committee as well. All we got.
I did forget to say that the legislative committee is asking all boards to look at the legislative permanent positions and see if we would like to alter, you got that email, I mentioned. See if we would like to alter them, add to them, make changes. And I would highly suggest we have some kind of a workshop to do that kind of thing and take a look at all of the WASA positions that are permanent. Don't think it would take that long if we each read them ahead of time and then just had a discussion about them. So the Ledge Committee meets in June and in July. So if we could possibly do that maybe in the first meeting in July or something, just take some brief time. Suggestion. Stephanie, do you have any thoughts on how to go about doing that?
I think that's what we did last time, was have people read them before and then we talked about it.
That's when we got the list of new proposals that were going to be presented at the assembly.
And this is just
a little
deciding
different.
their priorities.
No, this is a little different than that. This is to do with the permanent positions that are already in place.
Okay.
So if you look at that, look at the positions that are on the WASA website. Go to that link and I think you'll see, because the proposals for next year are not ready for submission yet. That's what our next meeting will be in a couple of weeks. We'll be looking at those that have been proposed. We're looking at permanent positions right now.
And did you guys didn't get that? Don't get those emails?
No, you're our rep.
I'll forward it to you so you can read them.
Perfect. Our last committee is our tour committee, and I don't believe it was in the tours since our last, until next school year. So moving on to the next item on the agenda, which is our school board schedule of events. We've had some busy times with barbecues, and I want to thank the board members that have been in the administration that have been able to attend those barbecues. I've been fairly busy at work, so I haven't been able to attend.
Sick of hot dog.
And then with graduations starting last Friday, this week is a busy week for the board and the administration as well. And then it only gets busier.
What's that?
Then it only gets busier.
Yeah.
Then this week,
Oh, yeah.
this week's the busiest ever.
Next item on our agenda, unless there's some comments on board events, is our citizens' comments. Under citizen comments, we do have a paper over by the door, your right, my left. If you'd like to sign up, I got the nod from Miss Urin that nobody had currently signed up on the citizens' comments page. If there's anybody that would like to address the board on anything that's coming up on the agenda, I will take those comments right now. Or just maybe a positive comment about what's going on in the school. We know there's lots of.
I did hear one comment that might be kind of encouraging, and that is we already have 2 of our volunteers working on a bond campaign. So that's kind of nice to know.
It is. We know that we need to have some new facilities, and as a board, we haven't passed a resolution yet, so we do know that it's going to be coming up in the future. The next item on our agenda is our consent agenda. Under the consent agenda, we have the approval of the minutes, the business and operations reports, the contract ratifications, the personnel reports, the student travel, request and the financial reports.
I'll move approval of the consent agenda.
So there's a motion on the floor to approve the consent agenda. Is there any questions or comments on the consent agenda? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. The next item is unfinished business, and I don't believe we have any unfinished business. So we'll move on, unless you guys know something. No? We'll move on to new business, and under new business we have deletion of policy 6957. And Ms. Hayden can explain that to us.
I'll check. So in speaking of policy 6957, I'd like to kind of both talk about that policy and 6950 together. Here to present the revision of policy 6950, which encompasses the deletion of 6957 because it gets embedded into policy 6950. The revisions to the policy are very minor, as you probably saw. It's changing, I believe, shalls to wills, and incorporating the change order aspect of the policy 6957 into 6950. Yes, 6950. Is there any questions?
I'm going to answer the question I posed to you, and I asked why the change orders provision only speaks to construction. When we have contracts of many different kinds in the district, do we have change order provisions in other contracts? And Megan provided me an answer, which I think you might like to hear.
So change orders are very specific for the most part to construction-only contracts. If we had a contract change that was, you would see that it on the consent for if it was a not-to-exceed contract and it exceeded that amount, or if the contract exceeded the original contract price by 10%, then it would come back to the board as either consent or it could be board approved depending on the amount. And you would see that written as more of like an amendment than as a change order. However, if a contract amount did not exceed 10%, but it exceeded the $75,000 threshold we have set aside that requires board approval, then you would also see that contract and the board would need to make an action to either approve or disapprove that contract.
And as far as non-construction contracts, if there is a change in one of those, what happens to it?
That's what I was saying. If it's a non-construction contract,
right? If
it's a not to exceed, it would come back as either a new contract or amendment to the contract, or if it was exceeds the original contract price by 10%, just like with the change order to 10% rule, that would also require an amendment to the contract.
And if it expires, sometimes you said it would take a renewal or a different contract.
If the terms of the contract expired, yes, then there would be a renewal and probably a new contract in general because of the term.
So the item that's on the floor right now, which is the deletion of that policy 6957, actually states some of that verbiage in there, the 10% rule, and it also states the $75,000 limits. Those items weren't rolled into the addition of the new policy or the change policy. Is there any specific reasons why?
I don't think there's any specific reason. I think what and I noticed that as well, is that I think it's allowing us to have more flexibility on what our terms may be, because then if we change that, then it's tied to another policy with the $75,000 or the 10% is what
then one of the other things I noticed also is the old policy that was getting deleted, referenced RCW 39.40, and the new one doesn't. And do we need to add that particular reference?
I will verify with the WASA guidelines and see if that is included.
And I just noticed that as I was looking at it. It's not something I saw this week.
Yeah, I'll verify.
So, right now, our topic is the deletion of policy number 6957.
So I'll make a motion that the board of directors approve the deletion of policy 6957 change orders.
So currently, there's a motion on the floor to approve the deletion of policy 6957. Comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. And we've been talking about the next item on the agenda, which is the revision of policy 6950.
A question, if there's something like that RCW missing, do we need to have that added before we approve the policy, or can that be added after? Since it's not the policy itself, it's simply the reference.
I could probably turn that over to our HR director, assistant superintendent, that understands the legalities of our policies. And I believe that we have a policy that says that if there's minor changes, such as references and shalls or thous, it doesn't have to come to board for everybody. Is that correct?
I think you're correct on that.
Mr. Ottaway, is that correct? Yeah. So we could approve it so that we at least have a changeover clause in one of our policies now that this prior policy was deleted.
And I will move that we approve the revision of 6950, contractor assurances, surety bonds, and insurance.
So we currently have a policy or a motion on the floor. Committee contractor. Any further questions on the revision of policy 6950? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
The last item on our agenda is, again, citizens' comments. And I didn't see anybody jump up and run over and put their name on the piece of paper. So if there's anybody that's wishing to address the board at this current time, you have exactly 3 minutes to tell us what's on your mind. And if nobody wants to, I'll take the opportunity to ask the board if there's anything else that's for the good of the order. Meeting's adjourned.
Mr.
Thank you.
Anderson, I started to speak up before you did. I think that in acknowledgement of some excellent service, Mr. Mark Otterway, I believe this is his last official board meeting. And I think we need to.
No, one more.
He won't be here for
He
that
says
next
no.
one. This is his last.
Next Friday is his last day. 23rd.
Well, I think that it would be wise to say thank you, bon voyage, and great. Hope the seas are smooth behind you.
You're gonna miss this.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing that up, Director Nichols. It has been a privilege and an honor and a great deal of fun to be your superintendent for the last 3 years. To end my 41-year career in Battleground has been a miracle for me. I have enjoyed pretty much every moment I've been here. And your friendship and your stewardship of the district has been remarkable. The growth and the passion that I have seen with this board over the last 3 years assures me that I don't need to worry about leadership in this district. You will continue to do phenomenal work. I have every confidence in Mark Ross continuing the great work that we've done over the last 3 years, accompanied with Danny Waters and some other people. So I'm very excited for the future of the district, and while I'm very sad to be leaving, I leave with a satisfaction that the work that we've started will continue. And thank you for having the faith in me to let me do this great job and to do it the way I wanted to do it. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mark.
They just think that we should give stand up. With that, thank you all.